We're about to enter the Hermosa Valley School Back Sand Dune Restoration Project. We're heading along the coastal access going west, otherwise known as the Hermosa Valley School Ramp. This sand dune is historical. It's the only unurbanized sand dune left in the South Bay. The sand dune is the hill that you see behind Hermosa Valley School. Let me give you a bit of history on how this project got started. Betty Evans, Civic Beautification Chairperson of the Hermosa Beach Garden Club, noticed how the ice plant was taking over our native plants. The ice plant was squeezing out the sandy homes of all of our native plants. Back in 1987, Betty Evans contacted the superintendent of schools with the possibility of starting the project with student participation in removing the ice plant, in hopes of removing the ice plant and planting native seacliff buckwheat to produce a habitat for our El Segundo blue butterfly. In 2012, Suzanne Evans presented this exact same project to the Hermosa Beach School District. 2 years later, she received approval from the school board. In October of 2014, Mrs. Heath's 8th grade class started removing the ice plant and started planting the first seacliff buckwheats. Here we are on the 2021 virtual tour of the Hermosa Valley School Back Sand Dune Native Plant Restoration. We're on the coastal access heading up to the top of the sand dune, and this section here has not been restored yet. So as far north as you can see all the ice plant and the acacia trees, the agave. There's a lot of weeds growing there. These are all non-natives that are covering the sand dune that are preventing the native plants from growing. Then if you turn around and look to the south, you can see all the sand is coming up. This is areas where Mrs. Heath's 8th graders have been restoring the sand dune since 2014. With the help of Athens Waste Management, we were able to organize a day of clearing and a day of planting. 2 full school days every year were devoted to the dune restoration. The native plants have a typical 3-year growth pattern referred to as sleep, creep, leap. When a new native plants are planted, the first year they sleep. They seem to be asleep, but they're really very busy below ground establishing their root system. Their second year of growth is still focused on their roots. They're still growing and spreading out their roots, but the plant will grow in a creep, like start sprouting a little bit above ground. Finally, by the 3rd year, the roots are sufficiently developed and they are able to leap and develop a nice large canopy.
I'm Ann Dahlke. I spent 32 years of my life working as a marine biologist, but then I switched to the land side and have worked for 10 years for the Palos Verdes Peninsula Land Conservancy, where I learned a lot about our local flora and fauna. And one of the things I learned during this time is that we live in a Mediterranean climate zone, which I think most of us are aware is a very pleasant climate zone where we have cool, wet winters and warm, dry summers. What's interesting about the Mediterranean climate is that it's only found in a few places in the world. California, the Mediterranean area, of course, that's what it's named for, as well as South America and Australia. Altogether, this covers about 2.25% of the land mass, but it contains a huge amount of the plant diversity. So our local native plants will attract local native birds. And if you slow down, walk carefully through our stop in the shade and watch, you could see a black phoebe that's busy catching bugs, a lesser goldfinch that will eat small seeds, or you might happen to see a white-crowned sparrow who's down here for most of the year. But look out for the Cooper's hawk, because Cooper's hawk eats little birds.
Mrs. Heath's 8th grade class planted, and right next to us is a sage bush, and all along the edge of the fence there is salt bush, and we have some seacliff buckwheat and some beech burr And this was all covered with ice plant. This is where Mrs. Heath's class also removed all the ice plant and planted all the native plants. Seacliff buckwheat has been planted with hopes of providing a home for the El Segundo blue butterfly.
We'll have to talk about their cycle. The adults come out in June, July, and August when the plants are blooming, and the first thing they do is they mate. And then mama butterfly lays her eggs. And obviously the plants are blooming in June, July, and August, and that's why the mama butterfly is laying eggs. That's part of their life cycle. The adults fly in summer and they lay their eggs. She'll deposit an egg in a teeny tiny buckwheat flower, and the egg will hatch into the caterpillar or larval state. And every caterpillar on the planet does the same thing. They're eating machines. And they eat and eat and eat till they're so full, and then they molt, because the outer side of an insect won't grow like our skin does. It does this 5 times. The last time it molts, it climbs down into the leaf litter underneath the Seacliff buckwheat, also known as the host plant. And there it will form the pupa. It will molt and go into the pupal state, or the chrysalis, in the leaf litter. And there the butterfly hibernates through fall, winter, and spring, to come out the following summer. The butterflies that are flying this year were actually born the year before.
Here on the sand dune restoration, we have saltbush, sagebrush, golden bush, silver beach burr, mule fat, sand verbena, toyon, and coyote bush. The restoration is restoring support for indigenous birds, insects, lizards, flora, and fauna. In 1968, Hermosa Beach was acknowledged as an official wild bird sanctuary. There are many birds here on the restoration. It's wonderful to walk through, seeing and hearing them all. Mourning doves are searching the sand for seeds. You can hardly see them when you walk by because of their color. They blend into the sand. We've seen the great horned owl, western bluebird, scrub jay, and we've also seen a red fox, coyote, skunks, possum, raccoon, alligator lizard, and legless lizard. You'll never know what you're going to see. It's so enjoyable to slowly walk through and take in all the nature and wonder of the dune. The original sand dune stretches from Torrance and Palos Verdes all the way up to Playa del Rey, El Segundo. All of the earlier sand dunes were destroyed by urbanization and replaced with streets, houses, plazas, sidewalks, parking lots, airports, shopping centers. But if you look around, and all the hills you see were original sand dunes. This is why throughout the South Bay, projects like our restoration are attempting to restore open areas of sand along the Esplanade and the Strand, or the bike path and vacant lots. You will see scattered natives trying to pop up and grow in the sand at the beach. This is the Loma path here where Mrs. 8th grade class and the Boy Scouts cleared all the ice plant and planted native plants. The native plants are all growing now and spreading their seed and flourishing and growing beautifully. Local ants and spiders here on the restoration. On a wet, foggy morning, if you walk through, you can see the spider webs on the plants. Coastal fog is very important in our Mediterranean climate and provide moisture for our native plants. Over here, we have the bladder pod plant that is home to the red and black harlequin beetle. And the hummingbirds also love the yellow flowers that it produces. Our Native Americans ate the pods and seeds and flowers and also used it for medicinal purposes. Walk through here, you can also see the mule fat that grows with really long, straight branches. And they've used those branches for using them for fire sticks because they can roll them in their back and forth in their hand and ignite some sparks. And they also used them for making arrows. This is what Betty Evans had envisioned, having the native plants once again growing on the Hermosa Valley School Sand Dune project. I think that she would be very proud to see what is happening right now with the help from community members, parents, volunteers, the school members, school students, the teachers, and the Boy Scouts, which have all made a huge impact to create a habitat to restore and preserve the Hermosa Valley School Sand Dune. This sand dune, never to be what it was, but we are attempting to restore what is possible.